So we are now live on the Facebook. So you can go ahead to the page and share it. And I'm going to do the same. And I welcome everybody. So we are now live on the Facebook. So you can go ahead to the page and share it. Is that your phone right there? And I welcome everybody. So we are now live. Facebook. So you can go ahead to page and share it. Is that your phone right there? And I welcome everybody. So we are now live. Facebook. So you can go ahead to page and share it. Is that your phone right there? And I'd like to welcome everybody to the U-Turn Show. The show will be starting in about 3 minutes. Can you turn your volume down on your phone? Is that your phone?
No, it's not on now.
So the show will be starting in about 3 minutes. Can you turn your volume down on your phone? Is that your phone? Do you hear that noise?
Yeah, I can. I just shut my phone off.
Oh, that might be me. Oh, it is me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, man. But yeah, this is going to be an exciting show. All of you who have turned in. Once again, the show will be starting at 8 o'clock. And once again, I want to wish you guys a very merry, happy new year. And this is going to be an awesome show tonight. Got my brother Mike Jenkins with us, who has an awesome testimony. So we're going to get into that in about 2 minutes. So if y'all could bear with us real quick, I certainly thank you. And this is our new time right here. So we're going to be coming on at 8 every Tuesday now. So be looking for that change on your new year. But once again, I certainly thank you all for tuning in. And right now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and switch the microphones to the radio show, so you won't be able to hear me. Facebook, you won't be able to hear me until about 1 minute. Switch that.
SLP 1069, Winterville, Ayden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina.
I try to be a better man, but folks just don't understand. Try to do all I can to deal with this addiction in me. Lord, I wanna change. I can't stay the same. But the sins that in my vein is trying its best just to kill me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are now tuned in to the U-Turn Show here on WBIS 106.9 FM. Awesome Radio. We want to welcome everybody to the U-Turn Show, the first show of this new year. And I definitely want to first thank God for allowing us to see another year. And I pray and hope that this new year will be very prosperous, very healthy, and very blessed and peaceful for everyone under the listening audience. And also feel free to go to our website, WBIS Awesome Radio .org to download our apps either on Alexa, the Google Store, or the Apple Store. Feel free to call in to our interactive line today, 252-756-2008. I'm very excited for our first show of 2022. I have a very special guest. I met this young man a few weeks ago at an event, and when I heard his story, man, it was just so captivating, and I had to get him up here. He's a father, he's a coach. I'm already calling him a motivational speaker. He doesn't know that, but I have my guy, Mr. Mike Jenkins. How you doing tonight?
How you doing, man?
I am doing wonderful, man. Very, very glad to have you. And this man, once again, I met him and he told me about his work with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He's a married father of 4. And, once again, just an all around outstanding man. And you just wrapped up a Christmas tournament, right?
Yes,
That you did
sir.
on behalf of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yes, sir. Had it at Kinston High School. It was the first girls tournament. A Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They usually do tournaments in Wayne County, actually in Mount Olive, for a lot of Wayne County schools. So I just want to kind of do something for the girls. Dealing with, it's not a lot of girls tournament, and kind of sometimes girls get overlooked, but they think the game is not as exciting as the boys' game. But my daughter plays softball and she started to play basketball, so I said, hey, why not? Let's do something for the girls and get some exposure.
Thank you for all you do, man. Actually, we just had the tournament at Mount Olive about a couple of weeks ago, and I had an opportunity to just watch this young man speak to the guys after the game, man. And his level of passion for helping the youth, man, is actually unparalleled to anyone I've seen. But before you got to this point, let's dig into it, man. This is the U-Turn Show, so of course we go back in time. So give the audience a little bit about, some of your struggles in the beginning of life that set you up to be in a position that you're in today.
The struggles. We could talk about failure, right? Like, I was just born in a society where my mother did drugs, right? My grandmother abused drugs, so my grandmother's clean. She's been clean like 27 years. My struggle comes from me and my mother relationship. We always had like a brother-sister relationship. And that was challenging for me.
So you were the oldest child, right?
I'm the oldest. I'm 38. I'm the oldest of 5. My youngest brother, they gonna get me. My youngest brother's 24. No, my youngest brother's 22. Then my other brother's 24. Then my sister should be 31, and the other one should be 30, something like that. But like, my mother had me when she was 15. So
Okay.
if you want to do anything about history, you talk about the U-Turn Show, like the pandemic of crack cocaine happening, late 70s, early 80s. I was born in 83. My mother got hooked onto the drug because back then it was more like a recreational drug, like they look at weed, right? So my mother kind of got hooked on it that way. And, from since I can remember, right? Since I can remember until my mom been clean for about going on 10 years now, like for real, super duper proud of her. But my adolescence growing up, my mother always had a habit. So that kind of changed my upbringing in my household, and me being a young black male and staying in different environments, and the things of what people call the addiction, the behavior. I didn't understand that behavior. like it's an illness. You see what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't understand that. So it caused certain, certain emotions in me. Like I had certain doubts, and uh, what the kicker was, I was always pretty good in school, and I was a
Okay.
good athlete, right? So people never knew. Like my mother had a habit, like they never knew, and that was like a secret. You see what I mean? It was a secret between me and my mom. So once I realized what was going on, like my younger siblings didn't know at the time, but it was a secret like between me and my mom. So,
So
um,
at what age do you think that you realized what was really going on? Like,
shoot, about 13. Like I see my mama smoke crack when I was like third grade. Like,
but
personally,
you didn't know what it was in
I
third
didn't know what
grade.
it was though, but I seen it. But
Oh,
I realized what it was like from movies, right?
okay.
Like from like Boys in the Hood, like New Jack City. Now, I'm
Okay.
watching all those movies. Like you see
Yep.
what I'm saying? I'm young watching that stuff. Now like my friends watching it, and people their reaction towards a movie or certain things, my reaction was inside internally was totally different. Cause I'm like, oh, got you. Now that
Okay.
makes sense and that makes sense, right?
Okay.
So yeah.
So then, like, how did that, like, once you knew and once she knew you knew, like you said, it changed our relationship less than mother and son rather than brother and mother. And,
It's
I mean,
always
brother and
been
sister.
it's always been like brother and sister. Like it's
Yeah.
always been like that. Like my grandmother, people think my grandmother is my mother.
Okay.
Right? It's always me and her. I don't know why. Probably because they say I skipped adolescence. Like I grew up like I remember like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. When I get like 10, 11, 12, like I know how to cook, I know how to clean, like I can make bottles, I can change diapers. Like before I was 13, I could run a whole house. Like that's how I was raised. That's what I thought. I thought it was normal. You see what I mean? Like it was just something in me. Like I can't say like I knew what I was doing, but it was just something. It was something in me. It had to be God, but like it was in me. Like me and my mother always had that relationship, and I never like cussed out. Like I was always obedient. You see what I mean? I was always respectful, and I think like now I think like that's what made our relationship so cool. Because when I realized what was going on, I never been like, man, you was doing that. Like I never pointed out what she was doing. So we just never talked about it.
Okay.
You see
So
what I'm
you
saying?
was you was almost like a support system,
I was. I
system for her
was
and the family.
for sure. I was a support system. Like I used it to my advantage, right? Because I could smoke and I could drink. I started smoking and drinking. I was like in 7th grade. You see
Okay.
what I mean? So everybody come to my house like, but I didn't. Everybody, my mama said I can invite people to my house, but I didn't invite people to my house. Does that make
Because
sense?
because why? You didn't want
I didn't
anybody.
want nobody. Yeah, that wasn't my thing. Like I didn't want. First of all, that was my safe haven, right? So if
Mhm.
people came to my house, boy or girl, right, I ain't want nobody like to think or to maybe catch a whiff. Like I don't know. I just know I didn't. That wasn't my thing. Like I ain't never invite a lot of people to my house, but I could do a lot of things. I had a lot of freedom to do whatever I wanted to do, but I just chose not to do those things because I didn't like the attention.
Okay. So as you got older, you're in high school, and where did things begin, I guess, to take a turn for you, to get you deeper into that life.
Man, it's not just one turn. It's and listen, my mama go to prison. She go to prison the first time. Um, we moved to South Carolina, me and my little sister, and I was in South Carolina my adolescence years, and that was like, you know, my first time having a gun. I was in the 8th grade. Like we broke into a house. We used to break into apartments. Me and my cousin, right? We would break into the apartments that he stayed in, right?
Okay. This is in South Carolina.
Yeah, the apartments that they stayed in was to break into the apartments with people like we know were gone. So I find I get a 357. Like Bet my second gun. My first gun, my mama didn't know about. The second one she knew. So get a 357, right? And I said walk around like I thought it was big and bad and stuff or whatever. But like it started to me being moving around and being in low poverty income areas. You see what I mean? Like, I was called it Section 8, right?
Yeah.
Like we stay in the project, but my mom always found Section 8 and Section 8 housing. But the Section 8 housing was like close around to the hood. You see what I'm saying? Like
Always.
You feel me? So I always kind of hung around these guys where you know, it was kind of like me. I didn't have a lot. Like in school, I get new shoes, income tax time.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I got a Gap, right? That's what I be telling kids. Like you got to love yourself the way God created.
You had self-esteem issues.
I had low self-esteem issues out of this world, dog. I had a Gap, and I had now you can have a nappy head and holes in your pants. Your pants be too little.
Yeah.
And you fit in.
And you fit right on in.
92, 96, 97.
Yeah.
I went to the school called Jailman High School. Man, 96, 90, man, please. I wish I would have some holes in my jeans. Like for my 8th grade year, it got so bad. So I moved around a lot. So 8th grade, right? My grandma, I moved to Kinston with my grandmother.
Okay.
And my grandfather, he died a few years ago. He kicked me out of his house. Like I'll stay there for a semester. And he didn't like the relationship me and my grandmother had. So he kicked me out of his house, right? I go back to Greenville, South Carolina. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My grandma.
How old were you then?
I was in the 8th grade, so I was 14.
Okay.
13, 14. So I go back to Greenville, South Carolina. So before I even turned 15 years old, right? I lived in Richmond, Virginia, murder capital. We stayed in Richmond, Virginia. Like my first time seeing a drive-by, I remember to this day. It was a teal color car, like the color of that wall back there, right? And I seen the Joker throwing fire out his hand. And how it was in Richmond, right? I went to the daycare, like kindergarten class. It was right there in front of the projects. It was just a big old fence. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you see everybody running, and it fascinated me. That's how I remember it. It fascinated because since my throwing fire at his hand. So I'm laying down like this and I'm looking, right? I see the fire come out of his hand, but I want to see what he's throwing the fire at. So every time he threw fire out of his hand, people are falling like it was just chaos. But when I stayed in Richmond, Virginia, like that was like in 90, 89, 90. Richmond, Virginia was like murder capital. Like you won't sit against the windows. Right? You put the furniture against the windows. The only people who went outside was drug dealers and gangbangers. Like, how I remember that, I still remember that to this day. Like, it was a 1-bedroom apartment, right? Mama told you, my mom had when she was 15, so she was young. I was young, man. I remember it was a whole bunch of like dudes being in the house. You see what I mean? And my mom be the only one. It'd be her and a friend. She always around a lot of dudes. But to answer your question, I always been around like gangbangers and like drug dealers. Like you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
I always been around it. So get to South Carolina, still the same thing, right? We move again. I flunked the 9th grade, right? I'm playing football, right? Good athlete. Flunked the 9th grade. We move back down here to North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
I moved to Richmond. I moved to New Bern.
Okay.
Me and my mother
places already.
You feel me? Now my mother has a 3rd child. My little brother. He's 4.5 years old. So me and my 15-year-old, I'm 15, my 4.5-year-old brother, we move into Pembroke, North, and that's in New Bern, with my 67-year-old aunt. Excuse me, and her husband who had Alzheimer's. So we do that. We stay in Richmond. We stay there for a little while, right? My mama moved down. The flood come. She moved down to Kinston. They had that big flood. I think it was Floyd. Like they're right there in 2000, right?
2003, I think, somewhere in there.
2000. It was in beginning of 2000. I don't know if it was Floyd or not, right? But the beginning of 2000 because I'm staying in Bridgeton. we moved from my older aunt to a younger aunt, right? And I go to West Craven for a semester. Then I moved to Kingston with my mom, and we back together again. Now she got another baby, and now it's all five of us staying in the projects.
So I always ask my guests this, and I think we talked about this. So, you mentioned your mother and your grandmother and your grandfather. Where was your father in all of this?
Man, I never seen my father a day in my life. Never, ever.
Wow.
I don't know his name.
Wow.
Never, ever, right? So I learned how to be a man from women. You see what I mean? Like, that's what taught me how to be a man. Like what a man should do. I learned from the emotional part, right? Like when I say I learned from women, I mean like from my mom. If something happened, Mike, go downstairs. Like, you see what I mean? Go check this out. Go check that out.
You had to man up.
Yeah, I'm scared myself.
Yeah. So that's man. That's amazing. Once again, I'm just allude to this. You never seen your father, but today you a married man with 4 children and very active. 4 children by the same woman as well, because I know you mentioned that to the guys, and once that's very commendable. First of all, but we're gonna go to, I guess you made it past all of that though, right? You end up graduating from high school, right?
Yep.
And you ended up with Fayetteville State University. Now, how did you get to Fayetteville State? How because going through all of those changes and with the mother and her going to prison and the siblings, how in the world did you make it to Fayetteville State?
What I learned was like the same thing. I felt like, some people like, how did you, like, all that bad happened to you? Well, at the same time, because my mother had a habit that made me so mature, right? And so mentally tough, that helped me too.
Okay.
It's crazy, right? Like, if I do all over again, I go through the same pain and same struggle, because without that, like, I don't make it to Fayetteville State.
Okay.
Like, without being grown in a household, without smoking and drinking, being able to smoke and drink when I was 7th, 8th grade, now I get to 11th, 12th grade, and I get to college. Like, that doesn't bother me. I have some discipline. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing new to me. I have friends like, oh man, we part, like, man, that ain't nothing. Like,
yeah, you'd already did that. Now, did you get a scholarship to Fayetteville State?
I didn't get a scholarship. I got recruited by North Carolina State. I flunked the 9th grade, right? So my GPA was bad. So it was a guy here in Kingston, an older guy. He passed away. His name Coley Little. He took me and my friend, who we always went to the same school, stayed in the same neighborhood. His name Antoine Bell. He took us up there to a visit, and he showed the guy my film or whatever. So I had financial aid, so I just walked on.
Okay.
Everybody thought I had a scholarship, but I walked on. I started playing immediately.
Okay.
Fayetteville was tough. Fayetteville was like, it's not what it is right now.
Vietnam, as they used to call it. Vietnam.
Man, listen, man. Like, my first time at Fayetteville State, and now it's a great school, right? My first time at Fayetteville State, I stayed in Vance. The first 3 weeks there, I see somebody off Murchison Road get chased in the dorm. Like, and jokers running behind him with the pistol. I'm saying, like, dang, this still like the hood.
Yeah, this ain't nothing you though. You know what I mean? It didn't phase you.
It didn't. I mean, I was there to play football. So I went there and played football, man, and I learned then, like, it's what you set your mind on, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, my mind was playing football, but it's still, my mindset still didn't change. My mindset didn't change. So I get there at Fayetteville State, and somehow I still get hooked up with the drug dealers.
Yeah, because once again, your mindset, whatever your mind is on, that's what you're going to attract. But we got about 15 seconds till our station break. So stay right there. Stay right there with us. We're going to come back. I'm here with Mike Jenkins from Struggle to Strength, man. An awesome testimony, but stay with us. 106.9 FM. We'll be right back in about 1 minute.
How did your ministry or you individually register a copyright? Stay tuned.
Solid legal advice. It's tough to come by, but you'll find a helpful perspective in today's edition of The Legal Alert from the Christian Law Association. Here's attorney David Gibbs Jr.
Pastor Tim from Arizona recently retired from the pulpit after 40 years in the ministry. As he was reading through all of his old messages and sermons, he considered compiling his life's work into a series of books. That is when he called the Christian Law Association to ask our attorneys about his publishing and what were his copyright options. While copyright registration is not required, it is critical if you want to protect your legal rights and remedies as an author. This is where our attorneys could advise the best steps toward ensuring that your creative works, your intellectual property, is properly copyrighted. If you have questions regarding copyright law, remember, the earlier the better. The quicker you copyright it, the more it's protected. If we can help you at the Christian Law Association, we'd be honored to do so if we can.
That's attorney David Gibbs Jr. of the Christian Law Association. Visit our website for legal brochures, our e-alert newsletter, publication catalog, and more. Find us at christianlaw.org. That's christianlaw.org.
Does God exist? Does it matter? This is Ken Ham, author, speaker, and blogger on science and the Bible's reliability. A survey last year found that nearly half of America's millennials don't know, care, or believe God exists. Less than half believe we should treat others as you want them to treat you, and over a third say, get even with people who have wronged you. It's obvious our culture is quickly moving away from biblical morality. So what should we do? Well, it's the Word of God that anchors us to truth in all times and all circumstances. Let's remain steadfast, holding to Christ at His Word, and boldly share the gospel and biblical truth with a dying world. People need to turn to the only true foundation that will last the test of time, the very Word of God.
There's so much more to discover when you go to AnswersRadio.com and listen to this program again or view a complete transcript when you visit us at AnswersRadio.com.
Hi, this is LaManda. You're listening to Awesome Radio 106.9.
Lord, I hope this ain't too plain for me to die up in these streets. Oh Lord, can you help me?
And welcome back to the U-Turn Show. I'm your host, Richard Taylor, here on WBIS 106.9 FM on your radio dial. I have my special guest, Mr. Michael Jenkins, with, and we are definitely in the midst of an awesome testimony. Just went real quick. Sharice Boyd Jackson says, Happy New Year, gentlemen. I guess this is your wife, Tanya Jenkins. Hey, honey, I love you, Mike Jenkins. Thank you for lending your husband tonight, Mr. Jenkins. Letta Taylor, my mother, praying hands, and thank you once again, my father as well. Thank God for his grace and great plan for our lives. Thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, feel free to call in and, ask any question that you may have for our guests. Now, so basically, we left off you at not Florida State, Fayetteville State.
Yes, sir.
And so then you start running into the gangsters and the drug dealers. So what turn did that allow you to make or persuade you to make?
Well, what happened with that was I had my first son, April, going to my second semester, my freshman year. So I'm like, you know what? I can barely take care of myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drop out of college. So I go to South Carolina, back to Greenville, South Carolina. I was going to join the military.
Okay.
Right? But the recruiter took so long. Like, I went to I do the test, right? I do the physical and stuff, but he takes so long. While I'm waiting for him, my homeboy, my childhood friend, he's a man now.
Okay.
He was like, man, what you doing? So I'm going to wait for this recruiter to call me back. He said, Mike, man, you gonna go to college? I mean, you gonna go in the military? I said, man, I got a son. I need to make some money. He was like, well, shoot, trying to make some money? I'm like, yeah. Man, he give me a packet of cell phone. I went from zero to making a couple $1,000s a week.
Okay.
I thought that was, I thought you could tell me nothing.
What 19, 20-year-old? That's, I mean, some grown people ain't making that much.
I,
now these days.
I thought I was a millionaire. So, man, and the part that people try to save me from, like what I didn't mention was when I was playing sports, like my mother always had these friends, knew these guys that was in the streets. They always looked out for me. They give me money, like buy me shoes, money for football camp to keep me out the streets. So when I do start going back, when I go back into the streets, like I didn't understand the part of I seen one side of the streets, of the street life from a user side and that side, but being on the opposite side, the dealer side and interacting and doing things like it was stressful, right?
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
the money, you see what I'm saying? But people you can't put into words the type of stress that
Yeah.
it puts on a human brain is unrealistic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and that's why a lot of guys, be in the drugs that sell drugs, either use drugs or it's almost like you got to be a psychopath or something to deal with the stress of the everyday life of a quote unquote hustler.
What they call like that PTSD.
Yeah,
Hey, that's real, right?
Mhm.
And seeing stuff and seeing things and unaware gunshots or like the unexpected, right?
Mhm.
You so on an edge where you feel like you had to, like, on top of me being emotionally unbalanced for like my whole adolescence, right?
Uh-huh.
And being upset and being angry at not at my mother, but at life. You see what I'm saying? I love my mama so much. I really want to upset with her. You see what I'm saying? My
Yeah.
grandmother, good thing, my grandmother had went to school. She's a recovering addict. She go to school, go to ECU, graduate with a master's degree in substance abuse counseling. So she helped me understand the addict behavior,
Mhm.
power of addiction. You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So, and she was saved. But her helped me understand that. I understood the power of addiction. I understood my mother. It wasn't my mother, it was an illness, right? So I was more upset with life, right? Of dealing my mama these cards so she could get hooked on this illness. The
Definitely.
crazy thing about I really have any hatred towards my mother. I had more hatred towards life because why my mother had to get dealt these cards, right? To get this illness. That's how I felt. So once I'm in the streets, like I hated life. Like I was full of rage. So a lot of crazy stuff happened. I talked to my grandmother, it was like 3 years. It felt like I told you before, it felt like 6 months, right? About 6 months that went by. Man, about 2 years of my life went by and I didn't even know it.
So what was the turning point where you say, okay, well, this not the life for me?
I have a mental breakdown doing a drug transaction. Like I'm at a restaurant.
Did you start crying?
I did. I after the drug, I'm like, okay, so anyway, we're talking about it, right? So yeah. I wasn't on the street corner like that, right?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I learned a little trick of the trade, so I was in restaurants and bars and stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So the person behind the bar was my mover. You see what I mean? I just sit back and watch. And they'll do all the work and whatever need more. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm in there and I don't know. I just start crying. So I go in the bathroom, man, and I'm still crying and I don't know what's going on, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm having a meltdown. So I leave out of there. Like a couple of days later, I still thinking about it, right? I smoked a lot of weed. I get high. And me getting high can't take these thoughts away. So I call my grandmother and I tell her. She said, well, Mike, you need to go to mental health, right? And you need to go to church. I was like, Grandma, I don't need to go to mental health. Mental health, I'm going to tell you, going to say I'm bipolar. You see what I'm saying? I know what you done told me all my life. Like, these thoughts that I have are not normal. I know this. You see what I'm saying? This ain't normal thoughts. So I come, some things happen in South Carolina, it got real hectic. So I come back to Kinston, I go to church. I just go to church for one reason. I said, okay, I'm gonna try it one more time, right? What I didn't say was that I seen my grandmother when I was staying with her that like them couple months my granddad kicked me out. I see my grandmother go to ECU. I see her go to school, come home, first day of class. She was crying because school was too big. You see what I'm saying? I see her struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I see wake up to a morning. We stay in a trailer park. My grandma wake up every morning faithfully, reading her devotions and crying, shouting like she in church. That was like clockwork. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was my first person I seen who really did what she believed. You see what I'm saying? So I took her word. I said, okay, I'm going to try it, Grandma. So I sat back in the church. I was waiting for the altar call. Something I was waiting for. I went to this altar call and didn't nothing change. It was a wrap for me.
Okay.
I was going to go all the way.
Miles an hour.
You see what I'm saying? It was a wrap for me. So I waited and I get up, man. No lie. I get up, man. I get halfway. Man, little tears start falling. Listen, I'm like 22 now. You see what I mean?
Okay.
I'm like 22. Feel like I'm like 42, to be honest with you. You see what I'm saying?
With all of the weight and the stress.
Yeah, even from my whole life, you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I should hold stuff in. My grandma used to say, well, how do you feel your mother went to prison? I didn't feel nothing.
Yeah, because you couldn't.
You right? You see what I'm saying? But that was my defense mechanism. I didn't understand it to now. I shut all my feelings off. I thought I didn't feel nothing. We were talking about from, like, anyway.
Yeah.
Look, I can give you some stories.
Yeah.
Stories on top of stories. But so I get up and I get halfway. Tears start running down my face, man. And I get to the altar, man. I'm boo-hoo crying. Like, boo-hoo crying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not coming out my nose like that. Like, I couldn't stop crying.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't stop crying. So for a whole year, I just went to church because church made me feel good.
All right.
You see what I mean? Then while I'm going to church, then I started, like, I was listening to the pastor. He passed away. It's still a church I go to right now. A guy named Pastor Larry Locust. I go to River Life Christian Center here in Kinston.
Okay.
But he was pastor then, and I rehabilitated myself. Right. I didn't smoke that no more. How I stopped smoking was I picked me and my wife wasn't together then. Right.
A minute. Wait. We're gonna hold up. We're gonna go to a quick station break. Give us about a minute, and then we're gonna come back to this awesome radio testimony. 106.9 FM, the U-Turn Show. Stay with us.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. The new year kicks off with a lot left on the agenda for President Biden and Congress to get through. On the menu, Build Back Better. Can Democrats convince their own member, Joe Manchin, to get on board with the $1.7 trillion spending plan, which in its current state is dead? Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer will begin another push on voting rights today as Republicans still vow to vote against the Freedom to Vote Act. The only pathway forward still seems to be the filibuster. That's a legislative action that Joe Manchin says he will not vote for. And the one-year anniversary of the January 6th attack is Thursday. In the coming weeks, the House committee is preparing to go public and unveil what they found after interviewing 300 witnesses and over 35,000 documents. And in the backdrop of it all remains COVID-19. Omicron variant numbers continuing to surge as states grapple with how to handle the pandemic, testing shortages, its effect on the economy, inflation, and even some schools shutting down. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
Awesome Radio 106.9 WBIS LP.
And yes, we are back for our last segment. U-Turn Show 106.9 FM, Awesome Radio, WBIS LP. We're talking to my special guest, Mike Jenkins. Just a couple of more comments. My mother once again said deliverance about, I guess, your conversion. Our friend Latoya Williams, God is a keeper. Thank y'all once again for listening as well. So you're talking about, so now you're back in the church, and you say you was going to church just because of the feel good sensation, and you mentioned even like your wife, you and your wife had split up at the time.
Right. She first son went together, that baby mama, baby daddy type thing or whatever. So
okay.
I would go to work. Pastor told me to read the Bible. It didn't make any sense, right? I was a person, I was a loyal, right? I'm loyal to. Like, so loyalty is real big. When you growing up in an area you don't have nothing, the only thing you have is your word. So like loyalty is the only thing you have. So I understand that same principle. So he'll like, yeah, you need to read the Bible, this, that, and the third. So I will read, but it didn't make any sense. But I get up in the morning, I read the Bible, I go to work, they'll bring my wife, baby mama, then would bring my son, take him to the park, come home, take him, give him a bath, go to bed. I did it for like about 6-7 months. That's the only thing I did. So in the midst of that, I read a Bible verse. I go to church. The pastor read it on church. Read that Sunday.
Okay.
Right. I'm like, okay, this stuff works. You
It's
see what I'm
clicking
saying?
now.
Yeah. So and while that's happening, my wife, she's trying to figure out what makes me change. So she started coming to church. Right.
Okay.
Then we start remending our relationship. A couple years later, we get married. 2006.
I'm still married today, correct?
We're married today, going on 15. This June will be 16 years.
Okay.
Right?
Congratulations.
So she started working at the daycare center. I'm still at the church. Start working at church. I start like dabbling into the youth group stuff. They had a step team. I started dabbling in that. 2010, I go to Rhema Bible College. That's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I go there for 2 years. We had 3 kids. Come back with 4 kids. 2010 to 2012.
You actually moved to Oklahoma, or was it online?
I moved to Oklahoma. Whatever I could fit. I had a Ford Expedition, a 2002, whatever I could fit in there, and my kids move out there. Right. That was totally different monster. Right.
Yeah.
Totally different monster. It taught me. It gave me that faith foundation. Like I found my story there.
Okay.
Like that faith story. Like, you know how you read the Bible, everybody got a story. Like I had plenty of stories of negative, like, but I didn't have no. I wanted a story like the Bible. I want to know, was faith really real, right?
Yes.
I get out there and I find my faith story. You see what I'm saying? Like that's my foundation right there. So we moved back 2012. I went through all that stuff, right? And gave up the stuff, man. I go to Bible college, doing good. Dog, I get depressed. I do my worst. Like I'm in depression. We don't get kicked out. We got kicked out this house. I'm staying with my mother-in-law, family, a 6, staying in 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, modular home. Like I'm severely depressed. Like I'm at my low. Everybody patting me on my back. Oh, you went to Bible school. I was coaching football at Kinston High. Oh, you coaching, and people patting me on my back, man. I'm doing bad mentally. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I go get a job. I was coaching. I was a teacher assistant, and I working at Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Oh man.
Doing anything to make it happen though.
Boy, that killed my pride though.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember driving my mama's station wagon with the wood grain on the back, right? And the 3rd row seat faced the window outside. So
was it brown? Was it brown?
It was blue, and the wood grain was brown. Dude, like I'm talking about bad. Like vehicles got repossessed. I had to take them back. I couldn't so I tell the coach, like, man, I got to go back to Oklahoma. I remember I had a class in Oklahoma when at Bible college, and that man was saying, if you felt like you missed God, go back to the place you felt like you left him at.
Okay.
Oh, shoot. When I moved back to Kinston, everything went down the hill. I might need to go back to Oklahoma. So he was like, what you think about FCA? I was like, FCA? He's like, yeah, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I was like, nothing. They ain't gonna hire me. Like, you see what I mean? He was like, man, you a person of faith. So he hit me with the faith card. I'm like, oh, okay. Gotcha. So I did the application, man, and here I am. Like I started telling my story, and believe it or not, like FCA kind of gave me a platform to believe in myself because I didn't think I had a story. You see what I mean? I know so many people who are like me, you know, the same similar background, and it was just hard to believe that people would be captivated. You see what I'm saying? Or kids would be people who look up to me because of things I've been through. And even to this day, man, like it's still like still mind blowing, man. Still mind blowing.
A couple of comments real quick. Aletta Taylor says, congratulations on the marriage. Roger Taylor says, all things work together for the good to them that love God and who are called according to his purpose. Thank you once again. Marion Barnes, Pastor Larry Locust, and I worked together at Borough Welcome. He was truly a man of God. And once again, Miss Jenkins says, God, we thank you. Definitely, we thank you. And you mentioned fellowship with Christian athletes. So what do you explain people, what do you do in that capacity, and what is the the overall goal of the fellowship of Christian
The
athletes?
overall goal for Fellowship of Christian Athlete is if somebody considers the influence of Jesus Christ, right? Like that's if they consider it, like for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, that's a win. Because if somebody considers something, they mean they're coming to hear you, they're attending something, they're sitting down and they're listening. You see what I'm saying? They're participating. You can't consider anything unless you participate in it, right? So you just want to have a godly influence over. They believe coaches have the most influence in the school, right?
Okay.
So if you can influence a coach and help a coach to have a godly influence, they feel like that coach can influence many cultures of people. You see what I'm saying? Within the school, within this community. So that's what I've been doing. I just did it in a kind of unique way. I go in and I start telling my story, and people wanted me to come back and continue to tell my story.
So where do you speak at, like to the kids? You go into actually inside the schools?
Inside the schools. Before the pandemic, I had middle school clubs. My clubs and middle school clubs ran like 100, 150. At one time, one of my schools, I had 95% of the school wanting to come to FCA. When that happened, man, like that's why I was like, for real? Teacher, I had an advisor. She was like, yeah, like the whole school want to, come hear you talk.
Wow.
So that was like mind blowing. That's when I started to think like, man, maybe I don't speak too bad. Like, I mean, for real. Like, to be honest, man, like sometimes I mumble my words. Sometimes I get fluttered a little bit. If I get very excited, like I just say everything in one breath. You see what I'm saying? I was never really trained on speaking.
Uh-huh.
Like, I just started to speak for FCA because I figured people got to know who I am if they want to donate. FCA is a nonprofit, right?
Okay.
It's a nonprofit. So for me to get paid, I need donations. I knew one thing. You can't look up Michael Jenkins on the internet and figure out who I am. Mm-hmm. You can look up Fellowship of Christian Athletes and understand what Fellowship of Christian Athletes is all about. But who's going to give to Mike Jenkins if you don't know me? So what's the best way to know me? Let me tell you about me. You see what I mean? Tell my story. Like, then you got to see me doing some work. So if I can't get no kids, in my mind, don't nobody come to my clubs, ain't nobody going to pay me because I don't think I'm doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, for like my first 3 years, I was going around speaking. Like, that's the only thing I did. Like,
yeah. And if anybody ever heard him speak, now he's just talking right now. It's him talking and speaking. So if you ever hear this young man speak, you'll see why that his club was filled, man. I just watched him twice, and I was like, man, I can't speak. I can't speak to these children like that. And he gave me the opportunity to speak to a couple of guys at the Mount Olive tournament. Once again, I thank you. But I do got to read a couple of more comments real quick. Once again, Toya Williams says, we overcome by the words of our testimony. Sandra Jenkins Smith, I love you so much, and I thank God for you every day. I guess that's mom. Yeah, hi, mom. Sharice Boyd Jackson, awesome come up. Appreciation goes to you, out for you and your transparent experience. Once again, and you need to have a license to be wearing my cap. Watch it now. I'm in why all day. That's yeah, right. And once again, Tanya Jenkins, take pride in the grind, definitely. And Sharice Boyd Jenkins, Mike Jenkins, one of the parents listening, wants to know, where can you be reached? She would like you to speak with her 12-year-old son. So,
I'm on Instagram at Mike Jenkins with an X. Facebook. I mean, I think my Facebook is Michael Jenkins. Like, I'm not really on Facebook like that, but I mean, this.
Or Sharice, if you can get up, if you want, you can get in touch with me, and I guess I can put something together.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing that for a while. Like that's been happening that's what really encouraged me. Like the one-on-ones. Like I've been talking to kids one-on-ones for a while, man, and it's mind blowing how people respond to it.
What is it? Some of the things that you want to impress, to the youth as you speak to them, because you have such a wide, range of experiences.
It's I had narrowed it down to the emotional part, right? Some people are like, oh man, the streets, and like it's not about that. You see what I mean? It's about what I learned was if you got somebody who works 7 hours, 75, 8 hours a week, right? And the kid is there by themselves, they're gonna feel some type of abandonment. Like they don't understand the bills. The same way the kid don't understand that his mother or his father or whoever's taking care of him is on drugs in the hood. Like you see what I'm saying? It's the same. We as people, we want to categorize like issues. The bottom line is it's emotional roller coaster. Can you control your emotions? Do you feel abandonment? Do you feel low self-esteem? I don't care how much money you got, right? If you got a big nose and a little head, like you're gonna feel some type of way. How much money you got? You can't fix it until you get older, until you get plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But before you get plastic surgery, guess what? That foundation has been set, and you can have plastic surgery and still haven't addressed that foundation issue. So everybody think like just because you look good, you feel good. False. They lying to themselves. That's not the truth. Because real truth comes from your foundation, your adolescence. And I'm learning right now, I don't care who it is. You see what I'm saying? Whether you work at Apple, if you work at McDonald's, if you got $2, you got $2 million. Everybody got some emotional issues because it comes from your adolescence. That's what I learned. And that's the point I'm trying to get the kids. Man, you got to accept yourself. You got to eat it. But you can't do it because you got to have a form of mental toughness. You see what I mean? That's why I say my mama doing drugs, man, might be the best thing that ever happened to me. Might be the best thing, dog. I had so much mental toughness. Like, I can eat whatever. I'm built for it. You can't break me. I'm built different. All because what people, I feel so sad because your mama, man, listen, that made me a monster.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, like with mental health, do you advise people to go get professional help with that, or have you ever had professional help with that, or you just once again put faith in God?
I push it all. Like faith is listen. I tell you, you only got to believe in God. I probably get in trouble for saying. I'm gonna say it. Listen, I work fellowship with Christian athletes. Man, I had people in there who don't even believe in God. Man, you don't got to believe in it, but faith works.
Okay.
If you work a job, guess what? You having faith. If you play on a team, you operate in faith, right? If you wake up in the morning and get in your car, you're going to believe that your car going to crank up. Like faith is a universal principle. You see what I'm saying? I don't want you to believe in the guy that I believe in. You don't even got to love Jesus Christ the way I love him. But I do want you to look at yourself and reflect on yourself and know that it's whatever you're feeling that you got going on, you can overcome it. If you need professional help, now I want people to get. I'm all for any type of help. You see what I mean? Any type of help. My thing is, I'm going to make you think about something to make you think like, you know what? I might need to redirect my thinking. I want to change your perspective. When I talk to people, young or old, when you finish hearing me talk, I want you to sit back, and when you wake up in the morning or look yourself in the mirror, I want you to think about something that you're afraid to tackle. I want you to look at the issue that keep bothering that you're afraid to touch because you don't want to feel the emotional part to it. Nah, go ahead and feel it. You need to. You see what I'm saying? Especially as parents. I'm a parent. Like, yeah, you gotta address those issues, because you don't address those issues, your kids gonna have the same problem. But that's my opinion, though.
Yeah. So yeah, well, speaking of, like you said, being a parent of four, you're a parent of four, and never having that, I guess, prototypical structure, or even like the blueprint of knowing how to be a father, or how to handle certain situations. Where do you credit your success and being there, because I think I met your son and your daughter, you know, and they're, I mean, you know, from the surface, all around great kids. So what do you credit your success and you and your wife's success and, you know, making those, you know, parental moves or, you know, those good parental decisions?
Number one, I credit my wife for giving me the freedom, right, to do some unorthodox stuff.
Okay.
Not, you know, I'm kind of out of the box. So like my kids, I let my kids fail early. Early.
What do you mean by you let them fail?
Like one day, my daughter, she had a dress on, right? And she, for awards day, and she thought she was gonna get an award. We're supposed to get a paper, right? Supposed to get a paper. She didn't get no paper. I said, Tanya, she didn't get no award. So she dressed up anyway. I said, I'm gonna let her dress up. She dressed up, she didn't get no award. After the award ceremony, I went right to her. I said, I told you, you won't get no award, but you didn't want to listen. She bust out crying. I mean, bust out crying. My wife was hot with me. I was telling the truth, though.
That's kind of harsh.
Hey, man, listen. You got to listen to your daddy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you got to learn to listen. You see what I'm saying? Don't nobody want their kids to fail, but failure is promised. And if you don't never let your child fail, you in trouble because they're gonna fail sooner or later. And when they do fail later, it's gonna be even worse because they ain't listening to what they were saying, what anybody told them to.
Yeah, definitely. Just like I guess you credit your early failures or your early struggles for preparing you for the adversity later on in life.
That life gonna give you, right? But my wife, she's very nurturing, she's very mothering. I love her for that, right? But on the backside, I'm very strict, I'm very direct. Like my kids know, like playing football, I coach my son at Kinston High, and I came to practice one day, and they said, "Hey man, Malachi got hit on his butt." In front of everybody. I said, "Boy, you soft." Everybody like, "Dang, Coach Jenkins, how you sound like that?" He already know me. He ain't say nothing. He looked good. He was hot. You But can't nobody, my kids know I'm on them. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's in a good way. And my wife has helped me to do it in a more loving way.
Definitely.
One time to be like, but now I can talk with that emotion and still have a smile.
But they still love, they still.
You see what I'm saying?
Know daddy love them, and it's good to have that balance, I guess. You know, the nurturer, the carer, but then you also got the, you know, the authority, the directness, the sternness, the straightforwardness. Like that. You know, ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. So
that's life. Life gonna punch you in the face, like without no excuse me. Used to be one day, it happens to everybody. But then what happened? You see what I mean? But my kids, I challenge them to work very hard, right? And again, me not having a lot beginning, like my kids made good grades. I couldn't afford them, get them nothing. So I made the grade the reward. I trained their mind. I kept telling them that. I give them a hug. I praise them. You see what I mean?
Okay.
My son struggled at one time. My son, he struggled. He was a below average reader. Now he's a freshman taking sophomore classes at NC State on a full academic scholarship. My other son struggled. He made F's and D's in middle school, right? But I never talked down to him. I praised him like a C was an A. If you make a C, man, we going crazy, boy. Let's get you a wow. Now he's taking honors classes at Kinston High.
All right, once again, because we're going to keep this going real quick, but the radio show is about to come to the end. I want to thank all of our radio listening audience for listening to the U-Turn Show. Make sure you join us next week when I will have special guest Councilman Taj Polak. We'll see you again next week at 8:00 p.m.
Lord, I need you to smile on me. Lord, I'm pleading. Tell me where you want me to go. I don't want to be.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, okay. So that's what you do. You let them fail, but you also praise them in the midst of, you know, like you said, a C. And actually, I have to take that advice because, you know, I used to get kind of hard on my daughter, you know, when she would get a C. But she was like, Dad, it's a C, you know what I mean? So, you know, now I use that approach to whatever she gets, continue to
whatever,
live
man. Because what hard for him was you had his older brother who made straight A's, and he could barely make a C. You see what I mean? So what my multiple kids, what I learned was from my childhood experience was every child is different, right? And I thank God for giving me the patience and the niche to recognize my kids' strengths and weaknesses. Like that was my biggest tool. I know what my kids are good at. I know what they're not good at, right? So, and everyone was different. I parent different. Like my oldest son, listen, he's love him to death, but people think he's a pushover, but mentally he's tough, like no other. Now the one who's looked like real tough, like he's a little emotional, right? But it's good because he's an athlete. So you need that emotion. You see what I'm saying?
I know that, yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, and my daughter's it's a whole different monster. Like, she competes like I ain't never seen before, and that's why she's at a caliber where she's at in her life with sports. Like, she's on a level where some people say she might be one of the top ones in her age bracket in the state of North Carolina in the sport she playing.
That's
right?
awesome.
And my youngest son, he has this characteristic about him that he don't never see nobody, no stranger. Like we go to softball, he always finds a friend.
Is that the one who was at the game with you that night?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He always finds a friend. That's a characteristic that I'm looking at right now. Like, and I try to find ways to put them in position where it's going to help them in their characteristic. Like my oldest son, man, he looked like an athlete. Always had an athletic body. But only thing I made him play sports is because he needed to get out of his comfort zone, right? Early, adversity. But I never pushed sports on him. He did sports just because, we talked about, hey, we just got to try new things, get around different people, right? Mm-hmm. But that was my strongest suit, man. And thanks to my wife, man, she helped me to have a balance. Because at one time, I'll be honest with you, I was so direct and I was so stern. Like I didn't have that fathering love. I had that fathering discipline. Do what I say do, because I said it, right? But I'm learning. Listen, I don't want to abuse my authority. I just had a conversation with my oldest son about a week ago, and I sat down and we were talking. And he's like, Dad, you trying to say I'm wrong? I said, son, I'm not fussing. I'm not saying you're wrong. And I sat there. I said, listen, I'm not yelling. I'm not fussing. I'm talking to you. We're just having a conversation. I said, now that I'm talking to you, I can kind of hear where I was wrong. I didn't say certain things. I didn't lay down my expectation of what I wanted you to do. Now that we're having this conversation, I was so proud of myself because I wanted to fuss at him, but I didn't. In the midst of that, we had a great conversation, and he was able to see what I was saying, right? And we had an adult conversation. That was my real first adult conversation with my 18-year-old son. Like I talked to him like an adult.
Okay.
Right? Most of the time I talk to him like you're a child, and I talk down.
Like he's still 7.
Yeah. And I say, you know what? And that was part of the conversation. Hey, you know something? I apologize. I expected you to do A, B, C. It was about the basketball tournament, right? I'd expected you to do like you did in previous years. But son, you're 18. You're in college. You have different experience. So my expectations can't be what has been the past 4 or 5 years, right? So and I told him, and we talked about different things. But my biggest attribute is talking to my kids, right, and getting them to think. So, and that's the same thing I do with kids, right? I want you to think about your behavior. You see what I mean? I want to say something to make you think, to reflect, but because my words going to go so far, right? I believe, but if I could just trigger or at night flick a switch on with my words, listen, you can do the rest, right? So, and I can point you, like you said, if it's professional help or if it's certain tools that you can do, certain things that you can do, right, that I have used or I have learned, like I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna help you out. I'm willing to help anybody out that's wanting to listen to me. I mean, anybody.
And I just learned a whole lot from you, just in that, little interaction with your children and, just different tactics and different techniques and realizing, yeah, it's a way to talk to them. So, man, I thank you for that. And your wife also thanks you. I love you. Thank God for change. I love how transparent you are. So I definitely, once again, everybody thanks you. But tell me one thing, like considering the children you talk to, as far as like high school and athletics, and what do you think, if you can put it into words, is the biggest challenge facing, the youth of today, considering your interactions with them?
It depends on the setting, right? You get some kids.
Okay, athletes in high school. Like
Athletes.
the guys you talk to after the game, because I was in the locker room and you got some of them.
Athletes are, you got to grab their attention, right? You got to look like an athlete. You see what I mean? For them to believe what you're saying, right? Now, okay, let's be honest. Nowadays, these kids can care less what you did like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? They can care less about it. You see what I'm saying? If you're not a professional athlete, like I ain't talking about professional, back in the day, professional, you have to be really great or professional right now.
Right now.
You care less about what happened like 15 years ago. The challenge, you got to go in there and say something like, okay, he know what he's talking about. You got to find that language, right? You got to say words like, well, athletes know this. It's almost like a hip hop culture, right? So if you're saying some words that grab their attention, they're gonna feel like you can't relate and what you're saying don't make sense because that was for you back then. You don't understand it now. So I think number one. And number two is everybody, us as adults, we're afraid to be transparent.
Okay.
Right? So the kids don't know that transparency let people know that you're not afraid and you're real. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. You see what I mean? I think that's been my biggest tool. Man, I ain't perfect. Listen, I'm full of failure. Right now, I'm full of failure. Wear it differently. You see what I'm saying? I tell them that. And I'm being real. I just wear it differently.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? My struggle, everybody struggle with something. I just wear it differently. I ain't perfect. And when I start talking like that, everybody back in you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I can follow you. That's how I get. When I start talking about how I'm failure right now, or especially in a closed group, if I say oh, yeah, I just bust my son out 2 weeks ago and I felt bad, I had to go back and apologize, or me and my wife just got in an argument. Kids okay, you cool. That's how they treat me. Oh man, you cool, man. You all right. You do wrong stuff too. That's the response I get. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I seen you get transparent with them, and I seen their eyes open up when you tell them certain bits and pieces, about
I think that's the biggest struggle right now, because it's sad that you have to do that for kids to be okay, I'll listen to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to say some old off the wall stuff. Even one time they say, oh yeah, he's just good talking to the poverty kids. So I go and talk to these very rich kids, and the respect level is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But my thing about that is that's why I start talking about your emotional side, because everybody have emotions. They were full of emotions, and especially in today's society, especially adolescents and teenagers, they're on top of extra emotions. We just don't talk about it, man. It's something it's kind of like me and my mother, right? I learned that wealthy people, right, have emotional issues. They just don't talk about it. Like the same way me and my mama didn't talk about it. She was a crackhead. Mm-hmm. I knew. She knew I knew. It's something we just didn't talk about.
Yes, it's the elephant in the room.
And it's common.
Felicia Mitchell said that's right. If you talk to them, I guess she's referring to the kids and all that, then they will hear you and respect you more. Now, also, because that you have, you've been on both sides of the fence. Like I said, you've been in an environment where it was just your mother and never knew your father, but now you are in the environment where you have a married 2-parent household, raising 4 kids. How important is it to have, because now you're an anomaly. I think you heard heard you mention like you're the only person in your family, or only male who has the same kids by the same women and no baby mamas, and I think you said married. So how and not only in your family, but in America, it's black, white, whatever demographic you go through, 2-parent household with with both parents, all children by the same two people are it's kind of rarity right now. But how important is it that you feel that because you've seen the difference, you've been on both sides. What kind of benefits that you see in a 2-parent household where both parents are actively involved in the children?
To me, and this is just me, right?
Uh-huh.
The benefits I get is number one, you have two different perspectives on one issue.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
A one-sided perspective all the time can kind of get you not being open-minded, like towards society. Like just because I've seen a lot, right, and I'm so stern and I'm so direct, doesn't neglect that my wife, and she's so much mothering, she's so nurturing, she's so loving, that her effect. There's been a couple times where I'm like, okay, baby, you gotta go talk to him. Like, you gotta talk to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
My approach ain't gonna work.
It's not. I know it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
You gotta talk to him.
Yeah.
If I go in there, listen, I'm kicking my foot in their head. Like it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You see what I mean?
That's awesome. Well, that's good that you understand that, though. You know what I'm saying? It's good that you can recognize that. Okay, well, now is not the time for me.
Yeah, but some people are not blessed to say, "Nah, it's not the time for me." It's either it's, and if I didn't have her, I won't be able to recognize because I seen it work. Like I seen it work. Like, oh wow, well, she did a little better than me. That hug and looks pretty cool. So I sit back, okay. You see what I mean? I sit back like, I mean, we might need to try this more often. Like you see what I'm saying? I seen it work, right? And I'm like, okay. So I remember that. But some people are not, and to me, I call it a blessing. Like I was able to see it, her part parenting, it works great sometimes. My part parenting works great sometimes. But when we put it together, right, man, it's like a orchestra, right? It's like music being played. Like we're going there, we'll talk. Like, okay, you be the good cop, I be the bad cop. Like you said, like I'm gonna come and boom, but I'm gonna need you to come back and give him a hug. Like, cause I know how important it is to like pick kids up, right?
Yeah.
My mama will talk. Man, my mama will talk to you. She don't have to whoop you, right? She can use her words and make you like cut you down. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I knew how powerful words were. So I go in there and hit them some words and make them feel this little. Now I go in there like, okay, your turn. Like,
okay.
I give him a hug.
Yeah, the good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
man, I got your back.
Yeah, I see it.
Chloe Williams, my girl, powerful. Tanya Jenkins, find a balance. You're definitely correct. Now I got to go back though because earlier I didn't get a chance to touch on it, but you said back when you were you were just getting back from Oklahoma and you were living with your mother-in-law, you got depressed, and how did you pull yourself out of that? How did you pull, and how hard was that for the white? Now, because I know some women don't get mad at Miss Jenkins, but I know some women be down your back, maybe. When you gonna get yourself right? When you gonna get out of this mess? So was it like that, or was she strong behind you? Or you don't have to go tag into detail, but like how did you pull yourself out of that?
So,
because I can imagine, like you said.
When I didn't know I was depressed till like 4 or 5 months into it, right? And I started to reflect on myself, and I just couldn't find real happiness, right? I was more focused on coaching, right? When I'm depressed, Kingston High was playing their best. I was doing my best coaching. Best coaching. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
I was doing my best coaching because I was so locked in, like into that moment. Like I was neglecting my kids, like everything. Like everything was locked on football. I was doing my best coaching. But man, my marriage was on the rocks. Like, yo, I was coming home. She was in the bed. I want to come home late, so she make sure she was asleep. Like, like we was rocky. You see what I'm saying? But it wasn't no quitting though.
Definitely.
It wasn't no quitting. Like, I just won't be able to quit. I don't know. I mean, it was just even when I wanted to quit. I'm gonna keep it funky with you. When I wanted to quit, I just couldn't quit. Like, it was just something inside of me. Even when I wanted to quit, like, man, forget this stuff. Forget these kids. Like, 100 with you, man. Forget these kids. Forget her, man. Forget everybody. Like,
she said you didn't smile for a whole year. I just and you probably didn't notice that because you were so locked in. But you know what I mean. But
I mean, it was just, it wasn't nobody but God, man. Like, because I didn't, like, the depression brought on that old feeling that I thought I was over. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was going through depression. I started thinking about stuff that, shoot, man, stuff I had thought about in years before I got saved. Like, man, I had to learn how to love my mama again. I'm saying this on the internet. Like, for real. Like, I had to learn how to love my mother again. Like, I tolerated her for a while, right? You know, my heart went cold. And that's the part about the streets people don't tell you. Like, when your heart go cold to a certain situation, it's like that to everybody. One person and it was my son, but I didn't even play with him. See, growing up, my mama take me to the park and she didn't play with me.
She just let you run around.
Yeah. So when I went to the parks, I did the same thing at first, right? They're like, man, I started saying to other people, parents, like, I'm like, man, I might need to play with my son. Like, just like last 10 years, I start hugging my kids. Like, it felt weird to hug and kiss on my son. Like, man, my son ain't gay. He ain't hugging like, you see what I'm saying? I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. But
I understand that, right? Because my father, you know, has a similar story to yours, you know, not too, you know, comparative, but, you know, he grew up in a rough environment. But as a kid, I remember, and I could actually feel it, you know, now that I'm grown, like him trying to learn how to show that affection that he never received. You know, trying to learn how to hug, and it felt like you said, it felt weird. It kind of felt weird to me because it didn't seem natural.
Yeah,
forced, like he was doing this. So I just interjected that because I felt like you felt as a kid, you know, as you were talking about as a man trying to give that love. So I assume that's how my father felt.
I mean, I'm telling you, this like probably like past 10 years, like it clicked one day. I'm like, man, I don't even hug my kids. Like, I tell them I love them, especially I hug my daughter, but them boys, man, hugging them jokers for what? They know I love them. I go pick them up. I'm working all the time for them, but it's something like I was just like praying. I think I was praying or meditating. I was doing something quiet, and it was like, Mike, no, like, how it make you feel? You want to be hugged, right? I used to think about that. Like I think, like, I wonder if my daddy loved. Like I remember I had to be having these thoughts. Like when I see my dad, he gonna give me a hug or whatever. You see what I'm saying? I said, had these thoughts to myself. So I was like, man, if I had those thoughts, I wonder how my kids felt. But how I got the depression, is I'm working at Chick-fil-A, and I'm talking to my best friend who in prison, right? He's my accountability partner, and people commend me on my change. But listen, I got 3 accountability partners in 3 different parts of my life. That's my friend in prison. I got another friend who's married, right? And I got a spiritual accountability partner. Now this is crazy, right? I got a street accountability partner. I shouldn't say street. I should say who know Mike from like since I was little, right?
You talking about that's the one in prison?
Yeah. We grew up together in South Carolina. You see what I'm saying? I can tell him anything, right? Anything, right?
Now tell the story that you told me about, you know, when you were going through the tough time and you wanted to get back.
So I'm going through this tough time, and I say, you know what? I talked to him on the telephone. I said, man, I'm about to go get me a pack. I'm about to go in these streets and make some money. And he was like, man, Mike, what's wrong with you? He said, I'm doing enough time for both of us. Like, I wish I could struggle with my family out there. He said, I'm in here. He said, man, you better go get you a job at a fast food restaurant. That's how I get the job at Chick-fil-A. You see what I'm saying? I swallowed my pride. My first time ever working fast food ever in my life, ever. I'm about 32 years old. You see what I'm saying? Working at Chick-fil-A. Man, you talking about, boy, I felt that big, right? I ain't gonna lie. Like, it was tough on me, but he was the only person that could talk sense to me right then, because I didn't tell nobody that. Only person I could tell was him, and he will understand.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I was trying.
He didn't give you that out though.
No, he showed that.
Give you that out.
He made me feel that big. Like, boy, what's wrong with you? He said, how you go through all this stuff? You do all this stuff. Now you want to go to the streets? He started talking junk to me, like, you know, things I can't say, but he talked to me like,
he talked some sense into it.
Yeah. And you're like, man, you probably can't even sell drugs. Like, what's wrong? Like, oh man, he let me have it. He let me have it.
So you said you had 3 though, right? You got one.
That was one. Yeah, that's one for. I can say that's one for me. Like, that's me. Like Mike, you know Mike from growing up, right? Then the second one, my second accountability partner is like my marriage, right? I got a homeboy who's married. You know, I respect him a lot. I've been married longer than him, right? But I respect his career path. You see what I'm saying? He's about to retire for the military. We graduated high school together. Like, he's a down-to-earth guy, and he has a great support system with his family. Like, huge family, great support system, and he got a lot of wisdom from older guys. So that's him. Then I got my spiritual, like, you see what I'm saying, that they keep me accountable spiritually. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like I got accountability partner for myself. I got a spiritual accountability partner, and like I got a professional accountability partner. You see what I'm saying? So, and I got one for FCA. I just picked up one for FCA too, like entrepreneur. So I got like 3 or 4 people, right, that can kind of. They all don't know each other, right? They all don't know each other personally. I might mention one to another, but all of them helps me in different areas of my life, and that's kind of like been my low key like trick of the trade, or kind of like people are like, how are you doing this thing? Because I'm being transparent to certain people, and they're telling me the truth when I make mistakes, right? I trust these people like dearly.
But like the Bible says, there's safety in the multitude of counselors, or wisdom in the multitude. I think it's safety in the multitude of counselors. So so what led you to that point? You know, because once again, a lot of people, especially men, are prideful. I ain't listening to nobody. I got this. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. You know,
that depression. Depression had me, man. Like, if I ain't tell my homeboy that, I was gone. Like, I won't be sitting here. I'm telling you, I know what I was going to do. I know for a fact what I was going to do. You see what I mean? Don't nobody else know it. I know what I was going to do. I know what I was capable of, right?
Yeah.
Shoot, man, I'm this age now. I'm much wiser, I'm much smarter, like
much stronger.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things changing. The streets have changed. Using the team. I know how to manipulate people now because I've been manipulated. You know what I'm saying? I've been manipulated early in the streets. I know how to manipulate people now. Like, I had already, before I told anybody, I had been thinking about this for months.
Okay.
Months. I was like, hey, I really wasn't even telling him, like, for advice. I was like, yeah. If you don't hear from me, like, I'm sorry, but I can't take this no more. I'm like, what's going on? You know, I got to create me a team. I got to get me A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then I hear nothing. You start fussing me out. Like, he my big brother. Like, what's wrong with you? You know, he started running me. He ran me down. Like, you shouldn't do this, man. You know better than that, man. You came too far. Like, he was talking sense to me. Like, I wasn't expecting those words. You see what I mean? But that's what a true friend is supposed to do. Like they're supposed to keep you accountable and say things. I didn't want to hear it, right? But I know he was telling the truth. And that's why I understand the importance of having an accountability partner. Because every time I got myself in trouble, every time I feel down, I get my back against the wall, it's because I'm not telling nobody nothing. I'm talking to my own self and reasoning with my own answers. You see what I'm saying? People talk about accountability partner, but you got to be truthful with people. That's what people don't want to do. That's what I had to learn how to do. And it's still hard. You see what I'm saying? It's still hard to tell people what I struggle with. Like, because sometimes you don't want to hear the answer. You don't want to hear what you have to do, right? Bottom line is sometimes you don't want to change. You think you want to change, but really, you really don't.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah, so it's good to have those people who will tell you those things, not that you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Yeah.
So that's good, man. And we'll stay up here all night, man. And I know you got obligations as well. But I once again want to thank you, for taking the time out to share your wisdom and your testimony. And once again, much success in everything that you do. Is there anything that you do want to leave our listening audience before you go?
Man, if I can say anything, like young or old, like I would say don't be negative towards your living situation or what you came from or what you're going through, right? You can't, because God has a plan and purpose for everybody. But sometimes, even for myself, I caught myself looking at the outside. Like I started making excuses for my actions. I started blaming other people, right? I started looking at all of these other things. And the biggest thing is that I had to be accountable for my own actions. Be accountable for my own actions. And the biggest thing is, why I'm here right now, because I forgive. Like forgiveness. You see what I'm saying? Like I forgive myself. I thought it was my mother, but it was myself. I was more upset with myself for making bad decisions. Like I forgave myself, and forgiveness allowed me, my heart, right, to be open, my mind to be open to learn new things. That's the only way I get right here, because I started learning things. I was open-minded, and forgiveness gave me the power to be open. You see what I'm saying? To be open-minded towards people, towards new things, towards working at a job that I didn't want to work at. And now, right? Now, Chick-fil-A worked with me. You see what I'm saying?
Sponsors, right?
One of my sponsors, like Chick-fil-A always like willing to help out and work with me, man. So I just encourage anybody, like, don't be so negative. You see what I mean? Don't be so quick to be so negative. I taught somebody who's been abused before, and I'm not saying that the person is right. I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. Like, it's a thin line. I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. I'm just saying somewhere in life, we as individuals have to learn how to forgive, right? Not saying that if somebody did something wrong to you, that you got to forgive them. You see what I'm saying? But what I am saying is you got to be able to release that pain.
Yeah.
And that's what forgiveness does. It releases the pain. And it doesn't happen overnight. And there are certain tools, whether it's professional, whether it's exercising, whether it's writing, like it's certain tools you can do that you can release those natural emotions, right? So you can step and move further into your next step in life.
Man, that's so powerful. Once again, I just left that up there. Felicia Mitchell said, forgiveness releases you from captivity.
It does.
That's something that, once again, I learned, I was telling you about the situation, that happened New Year's. I was harboring some unforgiveness, towards the situation, even towards myself.
Yeah.
The situation, like I said, I told you I had to address that, and, and let that situation go. So I thank you for that, man. You blessed me tonight with that, because, we all make mistakes, and sometimes, the hardest person we can be hard on is ourselves.
And to say that, right? To say that, that's even with parenting. A lot of people can't parent good because they're holding unforgiveness. It's not even the kid's fault. right? It could be something that happened to the parent like years and they're growing up and they haven't let their forgiveness go. So if you're holding on to resentment, right, how can you completely love your child and nourish your child when you still hold on resentment? It don't work that way. So that's how your kids get that's how you get so short-tempered, right? And you fussing kids out, then you go back and you want to apologize, but you keep doing the same thing and you're trying to figure out why you'll never have patience with this child. It's not the child's fault, right? It's some issues that the parent is having years ago. Trust me, I learned. You see what I'm saying? Telling you what I know.
That's deep. That's deep, man. That's deep.
Telling you what I know. If I don't forgive my mama and let me and my mom build my relationship up, there's no way I can continue to love my wife and to love my kids, because parenting, husband and wife, and having kids, that adds on stress already, right? So that's what I have learned. Like I'm telling you, like, and I can't put into words, and you can go so many different ways because so many people have so many type of hurtful things. I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about us as parents, right? Have been through so much stuff in life. We lie, right? We are liars and act like we got it together, and we walking around with the same problems our kids are having, but you want to point at the child like it's the child's fault. As a parent, you're not even working on your problems yourself. But as a parent, we can't say nothing. The kid, you see what I'm saying? And that's how you get into abusing your authority.
Whoa. Definitely.
You see what I mean? That's what I did.
You talking to me now. You talking to me.
That's how I abuse my authority. Don't talk back to me because I said so.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, and the kid can be right. Dead right. Dead right.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But I've seen it. I've done it. A kid can be right. I mean, dead right. And you will chew them out because they're hurting your feelings, but you don't let them know they're right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But man, that's my enough. That's my quick parenting tip. You see what I'm saying? Everybody they think I can talk to good with kids, man. Listen.
Yeah, no.
Yo.
You got a wide array of knowledge, on a whole lot of subjects, man.
So, but that's my 2 cents, man. You said leave a thought, man. I left a whole paragraph.
Yeah, man. I definitely want to thank you. I thank Miss Jenkins Smith, Mrs. Jenkins, Mr. Taylor, Miss Mitchell, Miss Boyd Jackson, Miss Williams, Miss Taylor, everyone who watched the show and commented and interaction. Leave you with that one. I love you, babe. Your meal is waiting for y'all. But I definitely want to once again just thank you, man, brother. And definitely a pleasure, meeting you and talking with you and fellowshipping with you tonight. And we definitely going to, be in contact, man. We got to bring you up probably later on in the year, to get some more of that good knowledge from you.
Oh, man, I appreciate you, man, everything you're doing. Hey, man, shoot, let's get lunch somewhere. We can talk after.
All right, definitely. I'm going to hit you up, bro.
All
right. Thank y'all again for watching. Make sure y'all tune in next week to the U-Turn show at 8 p.m. I'm going to have my special guest Goldsboro Councilman, my good friend, classmate, Taj Polak. So y'all don't want to miss that one. But we thank y'all for once again tuning in. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you again, Mr. Jenkins.
right, man. I'll holler at you, man.
All right, definitely.
All right.